Good evening, Honorable, and thank you for joining us on NTV Talk of the Nation. Now, first things first, we'd like to pick your brain on the chaos and violence that is arising from the irregularities. Who do you think is to blame for the mess?
I think that there are other areas that we can deepen. And how do we deepen this in order to achieve the narrative and to fine-tune the electoral process? When you're dealing with nearly 72,000 polling stations or cells countrywide, this is huge. The national resistance movement has got to deal with people, some who are informed, misinformed, ill-informed, some with malicious intentions. And this is part of the aggregate, or what you say, the attempt to crystallize and fine-tune democracy in order for you to bring an output of nature, what you call political hygiene in the country. It is still a long way. It's a journey and work in progress. But I would recommend that in the future, the party will need to strengthen the disciplinary arms of the party right from the grassroots up to the apex. They must be seen to be effective. Where somebody errs, and to err is normal in human governance, you need to ensure that they are brought to book and in keeping with the constitution of the national resistance movement, with the penalties.
Now, the NRM Electoral Commission Chairperson has blamed the violence and confusion on miscommunication and also put the blame on RDCs as well as some members of parliament. Do you think there are deeper issues at play here?
I think that some of the RDCs and some of the government functionaries have to a large extent played into the hands of the candidates and have been influenced by money. And this influence of money, to a large extent, calls for what you call a review and maybe caution. Because I see that in some of the areas, you have seen direct intervention by the RDCs.
Now, some candidates have accused local leaders as well as, security operatives of interfering in the electoral process. Have you interfaced or been affected by these interferences?
The Electoral Commission is independent in its nature. Professor Tango Doi and the increased size of the commissioners of the Electoral Commission and the overseers of these elections have been fully briefed, and I would expect that no undue interference is infused into this election. But unfortunately, we've had incidences where this has occurred, and that is very unfortunate. It's regrettable. My view is that that is a learning curve for the party, and we need to review this in the future in carrying out the post-mortem of this election.
Now, how would you want the NRM's internal democratic processes reformed?
I would recommend that in the future, the party will need to strengthen the disciplinary arms of the party right from the grassroots up to the apex. They must be seen to be effective. Where somebody errs, and to err is normal in human governance, you need to ensure that they are brought to book and in keeping with the constitution of the national resistance movement, with the penalties. And where possible, those who border with criminality are handed over to the police, then the penal code can now be able to take place. Democracy and democratizing the African population is a path that we need to ensure that we are patient, we are calm with, but we must keep picking lessons in order to fine-tune the people. We have a young population. Some do not know exactly what it means to have a healthy democracy. So you don't have the situation you have like in the United States, maybe in a country like UK. These are the challenges you face in a young nation and a nation that is still emerging out of autocratic rules. Now, we have come out of independent, what you call the principles of governance, of managing society under individual merit. Individual merit will take time to phase out. And in order for you now to come into the mass arrangement, like the Revolutionary Party, popular democracy. It takes time for you to popularize it among the people.
You are seeking another term as the NRM Vice Chairperson for Eastern Uganda, and some people argue that you have held the position for a very long time, and would like to know, what do you hope to achieve this time that possibly you weren't able to achieve in the past 16 years?
Our principle now is to address issues like the youth unemployment, tackling poverty, dealing with service delivery, improving infrastructure, addressing issues like corruption. These are the tenets of the challenges you face in a modern state or a young nation like Uganda. So my interest is to see that we further these fundamentals in order to inculcate what you call a fundamental change to the country. Uganda is endowed with natural resources. 48% of East Africa's arable land is in Uganda. Our comparative advantage is in agriculture. We now need to ensure that much as we have progressed with the economic growth of 6% per annum for a long time, we now produce a surplus of milk, we produce a surplus of sugar, we're now exporting huge amounts of coffee. We're among the largest producers of coffee, not only in the African continent, but globally. You can now see that all the surplus of all these items show that production has gone up. How do we now increase and reduce this poverty? Value addition. And that's why we are tackling issues like parish development model. But the interests of my own people in the region, the Eastern, are segmented into what you call segmented interests.
Now, Vice Chair, looking forward to the coming elections, which are at more senior levels, say the district, the constituency, as well as SEC, do you think things will be better handled this time round?
The commission being chaired by Professor Tango Doi and being deputized by Omach Jachan, a group of very able, mature people, calm in nature. They have got experience in managing political issues, and I think that they are up to the task.
And finally, from you, Vice Chair, how do you think these processes will inform the coming general elections 2026 as we conclude this conversation?
My view is that that is a learning curve for the party, and we need to review this in the future in carrying out the post-mortem of this election.
All right. Thank you, Vice Chair, for making the time to speak to us.